Hi, I'm Brother Reverend Dr. Kenneth Augustus Walker, chaplain for the Ada Landers Chaplain team here in Atlanta, Georgia. I know for the past 3 weeks, you have really enjoyed the Black History presentation by our chaplains team entitled Massacres That Impacted Black America. You had a chance to learn about the Wilmington Massacre, the Tulsa riots, and the East St. Louis riots. Now, it is my task to conclude this month-long series with the 1906 Atlanta Massacres. The 1906 Atlanta Massacre. Atlanta today is known as a city that's too busy to hate, but it wasn't always that way. Atlanta is home of the world's busiest airport, at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Actually, it's Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Atlanta is home to a platoon and plethora of Fortune 500 companies. Atlanta has the largest consortium of black colleges, historically black colleges and universities concentrated in one area anywhere in the entire United States or the world for that matter. But Atlanta has not always been held in such high esteem with all these lofty titles. In 1906, in September, beginning on September 22nd, 1906, 3 months before Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was born, Atlanta had one of the ugliest race riots in the entire United States. The 1906 Atlanta race riot was a violent and deadly episode of racial violence that occurred in Atlanta from September 22nd to September 24th, 1906. It reflected the tensions in post-Reconstruction America, and particularly post-Reconstruction South, the Reconstructed South, as rapid social and economic changes created hostilities between the black and white communities. So what caused the 1906 racial riots right here in the city that is now too busy to hate, but it wasn't too busy to hate in 1906? Number one, economic competition. Black businesses were thriving. Black businesses were taking off. Black businesses were making money. And the white population in Atlanta became jealous. They felt threatened by the new Black Wall Street in the South. So it caused resentment among white people in Atlanta. Number two, racial tensions. The success of black-owned businesses, particularly in areas like Auburn Avenue, later known as Sweet Auburn, exacerbated those tensions, made it worse. False accusation that black men were assaulting white women was published by local newspapers. Local newspapers published that erroneously, falsely, lying that black men were assaulting white women. Then the political climate. The 1906 gubernatorial election played a huge role in this. Candidates Hoke Smith and Clark Howell. Clark Howell was a famous road out by the airport. You didn't know that was named after the guy who ran for governor. Competed by appealing to white supremacy, further inflaming racial tension. So both candidates appealed to white supremacy. Where are we in 2025? Back at white supremacy. 4, sensationalization of the media. So the fourth cause of the racial riots in Atlanta, newspapers like the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, well, then it was called the Atlanta Journal and the Atlanta Constitution, but now it's just simply the AJC, Atlanta Journal-Constitution paper, the largest newspaper organ in the South, repeated these false lies and narratives about black men assaulting white women. So you had the perfect storm. You had economic competition, you had racial tension, you had a political climate, and you had the sensationalization by the media. What happened with those racial riots after the media whipped it up, after racial tensions whipped it up, after economic jealousy whipped it up, after economic competition basically whipped it up? Number one, on September 22nd, 1906, white males, angry, belligerent, bellicose, venomous, and vituperative, they gathered in downtown Atlanta, came up with a plan to try to stop the black race economically and politically. And they were fueled by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Over the course of the riot, mobs attacked black residents, businesses, and neighborhoods. They looted and destroyed our people's property, our ancestors' property, assaulted individuals, and killed dozens of black men and black women on September 22nd, 1906. The violence spread throughout the city with reports of mobs breaking into homes and dragging black men, black women, and black children into the streets. The aftermath, casualties. Estimates of the death toll were between 25 and 40 black people and 2 white people killed. Hundreds of black residents were injured, but historians believe that there was close to 100 black people who were killed and maybe 10 white people. Displacement. Many black families fled Atlanta or moved to safer areas. Some sought refuge in churches and community centers. Number 3, impact on black businesses. Black-owned businesses were targeted and destroyed, severely damaging the economic progress of the black community out of slavery to Reconstruction, post-Reconstruction. Number 4, community response. Black leaders, including our fraternity brother, W.E. Du Bois, who was living in Atlanta at the time, worked to organize and address the aftermath. Du Bois famously penned a poem, A Litany of Atlanta, in response to the violence. If you have not read A Litany of Atlanta, I challenge you to go and read it. The long-term effects. The riot deepened racial divides in Atlanta and reinforced segregation, separate but equal. However, it also inspired greater efforts in our community to organize for civil rights and economic independence. Out of the Atlanta riots was birthed the NAACP and many other organizations. So the 1906 Atlanta Race Riots was a tragic chapter, but look how far Black Atlanta has come now. Black Atlanta had its first black mayor in Maynard Jackson in 1972. Black Atlanta, coming out of those racial riots, second black mayor, Andrew Young. Next black mayor, Bill Campbell. Next black mayor, Kasim Reed. Next black mayor, the first female mayor, Shirley Franklin. Keisha Lance Bottoms. And now the current mayor, Andre Dickens. So look how far we've come. We've held the Olympics. We've held multiple Super Bowls. We'll be hosting the World Cup. None of this would have been possible unless there was a reconciliation between Black Atlanta and white Atlanta. We must never forget the 1906 race riots right here in our beloved Atlanta. The city now that's too busy to hate, but we must keep our antennas up, our eyes open, and our ears open. Racism never dies. It will disappear and operate underground, then it will resurface. But black people survived the 1906 race riots, and here we are in 2025, leading the city, leading the South. Even the chairman of the Fulton County government is an African-American, Chairman Rob Pitts. So Atlanta has a lot to be proud of. Sometimes out of pain, great things are birthed. And we have birthed a great Atlanta. But it is up to you, it is up to me, it is up to us to keep Atlanta moving forward and make sure that we never go back to 1906. It is amazing. These riots occurred in September of 1906, and then Alpha Phi Alpha was born in December of 1906, not in the South, but in the North, on the campus of Cornell University, where the 7 jewels, 7 brave black men, against all odds, birthed an organization that to this day still fights for racial equality and economic justice. Thank you for tuning in to our special Black History presentation, Black Massacres that impacted Black America. Massacres that impacted Black America. Thank you so much for watching, and please share this video.